Welcome back to What She Said Sports, everybody. It's Nola Girl checking in with. Okay, if you audio only, I'll try to describe as much as I can. The three thieves. There's four of them in total. So three of the thieves that we saw on camera breaking into Shedeur Sanders' home, kicking the door in, have been identified and arrested. Turns out there was a fourth person waiting in the car, the getaway driver, who has also been identified, but they haven't been apprehended. They're still considered to be at large, and there's a warrant for their arrest. Now, this took place, November 6th somewhere, when Shedeur Sanders was playing in the second half of an NFL football game for the Cleveland Browns against the Baltimore Ravens. Now, I did a video on this, okay? And before I went back to my video, I said, well, let me see if I can ascertain the identity of the individuals who have already been identified. I cannot. They haven't released the information yet. Supposedly tomorrow, the Medina County Sheriff's Department is going to hold a press conference or possibly share some more details. And I said, well, why would they not if you already closed the investigation? Because they put out a press release that the investigation is closed. If you close the investigation, it means you believe that they are the perpetrators. That's why you arrested them and you have what you need. Why not identify them? So some sources say it could be because the fourth person is still at large. I'm like, but they know who it is. I'm like, they already said, I know the identity of all four of the thieves, including the getaway driver waiting down the street in a car, who likely had a cell phone and, could communicate if something happens. That's how, I bet you good money, that's how they got busted. Contact tracing, geofencing. I talked about that in my first video, Inside Job. So the fact that they won't release the names of the people who robbed Shedeur's home while he was playing in a football game that nobody expected him to play in, and his brother was not there, it's a little shady. And it's not just because they won't release the names of the people. They closed the investigation. So you have put out a statement, we done with this, basically. These are the guys, it's closed. Okay, so if you're not looking for nobody else, you have identified it's these bombs right here. And the fourth person, you know who all four of them are. You issued a warrant for the other person. You did not tell me who the first three were because you're waiting on the identity of the fourth. You got something else going on. You captured them and you talking with some people. Now, I pointed out that Shedeur Sanders left the game and was happy. You could hear him being excited that they got the win, right? You could see that on Bucky's video. But when he got to the podium, he was shook. Now, I don't know if he had this information and it didn't come out yet. I will tell you the timing of this information is neatly packaged at the end of the season when everybody on their way out. When Cleveland is wrapping up its season, when Stefanski was fired, and we know they didn't want to fire Stefanski. And at the same time, Jerry Judy runs to the internet and says, after that game, where I saw Shedeur looking shook at the podium, if you only knew. Ha, ha, ha. And people didn't think shit was funny. And I wanted to ask him, so did you have something to do with robbing Shedeur's house? What did we say they robbed Shedeur's house for? Leverage. Now, I know there's hazing. I know there's a lot of rookie rituals that, players say things like, oh, you have to earn it or you need to be put in your place. Was Shedeur being put in his place by the NFL? Kind of like this. It's like his father has been negatively affected with emotional distress, right? After what? Being publicly humiliated in front of 7.3 million people. And let me tell you what Colin Cowherd is doing. He knows that.
He knows what happened to Shedeur was what? Coming off the heels of what? The NFL draft. Being devalued, colluded against. They took him off the board and didn't even tell him. They had his phone number. Why they didn't call him and tell him? Because they sent his phone number out to 2,000 people who did not need to know. Where's the accountability for that data breach? Where's the accountability for the collusion against Shedeur? For the owner saying, take that entitled so-and-so off the board, which was language lifted the tongue of the New York Giants head coach, which was a lie. And after Ms. Pilar called out the New York Giants, they backed off of their lie about he was prepared. This young man's nickname is Gronk, right? So Colin Cowherd is deflecting from the damages caused by emotional distress, cruelty, collusion, public humiliation. He's deflecting because he's saying Shedeur Sanders shouldn't be QB1 because he got a speeding ticket.
Fans are asking, is there a connection to Jackson Dart and the New York Giants? As you know, the New York Giants are the only franchise to issue defamatory and negative statements against Shedeur Sanders. So, did the New York Giants intentionally defame Shedeur Sanders to justify drafting a lesser talented QB and Jackson Dart, who went to Ole Miss? Questions that need answers.
Hey, is this Shedeur? Hey, this is Mickey Loomis here, the GM of the New Orleans Saints.
Okay, so what do we know about the prank? We know they lied right off the rip. We know they lied. We know that they knew exactly who that was. And what did they do? They grabbed an activity that was already happening that was seemingly random with random information, and they slid in on it and they tried to cover it up and they got busted. The information was videoed and they got busted. And they lied then. They lied and said it was the Falcons. It wasn't. This is a connection to the Ole Miss running through the New York Giants. Joe Schoen, specifically. What did they come out and say? Joe Schoen gets to keep his job. Who got fired? Daboll. Why Joe Schoen get to keep his job if the Ole Miss connection is directly connected to him? Why does he get to keep his job if that person is supposedly the boyfriend of his daughter, who had proprietary inside information and had no idea when the hell Shedeur was getting drafted? If it was a mistake and he overheard some things he should have, why did they lie on the Atlanta Falcons? This was a cover-up. And they never told the truth. They never came back to it. They just neatly packaged the lie and left it and kept it pushing. No consequences for anybody. But it was intended to harm and humiliate Shedeur. So let's talk about this robbery. I asked you, was it an inside job from the jump? Why? First of all, the first clue was that they said the door, there was two exterior doors. I'm assuming this is basement level. And one was locked and one was unlocked, and they walked right in. Well, that's the lie, because what did we see? We saw them kick the door in. And what else did we see? Signal jammers. Random thieves don't run around with signal jammers. And we talked about this. We were like, who the hell knew where Shedeur lived? Because not everybody know where Shedeur lived. And I said, okay, he has his dry cleaning delivered. Let's go down that path. He has his dry cleaning delivered. The dry cleaners know his address, know where he lived. They don't know when the hell he going to be playing football and not on the sideline. They don't know the hell when his brother not going to be there. Only a few people knew where Shedeur lived. And only a very small number of people knew Shedeur would be playing football at the time he was robbed. This is pointing right back to the Cleveland Browns, which is why this information is coming out when the season is over. So Shedeur was humiliated publicly in the draft. And I don't know what the hell happened from the tunnel to the podium. And Jerry Jeudy coming out, if you only knew. But it's given humiliation. I don't know if something happened in the locker room. I don't know if they found something at his house and stuck it in his locker and he was humiliated by it. But I know the timing of this revelation is neatly packaged at the end of the season when we don't know if he'll be back or not because Cleveland refuses to commit to Shedeur. What did we learn from the Kyron Lacey case? That the district attorney, law enforcement, lied and covered up. The district attorney office held on to the truth, the information to move the case forward and exonerate Lacey. They had it in January. They sat on it and they never wanted to discuss it publicly. What did they do? They scheduled a grand jury hearing. What did the NFL do? Disinvite Kyron Lacey based on he was accused of murdering somebody in an accident that never happened. He was accused of a felony hit and run staring at 60 years in a penitentiary, and that was in January. He had just graduated from LSU. And you saw how the head coach for LSU was standoffish about Kyron Lacey, and you saw he got fired. Because everybody knew that it wasn't the Green Charger. But they sat on the information and somebody used it to their advantage. That's why they scheduled the grand jury, which was conveniently around the time of the NFL draft. So if he was alive, he would have been like Isaiah Bond, who was arrested 2 weeks before the draft. And he would have been devalued like Isaiah Bond. So it seems like the accident happened. The DA knew in January, and somebody said, hold on. Let's let this go to grand jury because I could use this. Yeah, but he died. And the NFL didn't say a goddamn thing. Knowing the NFL had Kyron Lacey on camera on the draft in 2024 when his teammates from LSU, Jaden Daniels and another guy, were like, you up here next. So they knew who he was. But the NFL used that information to disinvite him from the draft, and they knew. The DA knew. He didn't kill those people. And that could have been used by the NFL to invite him back to the combine, and then he would have been a first-round draft pick, and then he would have made $30 million or $40 million and not been devalued like Isaiah Bond, who said he was also falsely accused, ironically, 2 weeks before the draft. Somebody used that information to try to devalue Kyron Lacey. See, these first-round draft picks are targets. Think about the football player. Think about the player in the South Carolina game where the officer targeted him and pointed at him and tried to engage him in altercation during a live game. So we already know law enforcement can bait in these players. We already know the NFL devalues players who are involved in some type of something. Kyron Lacey. You're devaluing Kyron Lacey if you disinvite him to the draft. That's exactly what the NFL did. So we know the information can be available and be sitting around until a convenient time. The season ending is a convenient time. When they were trying to put that leadership label on Shedeur, I noticed he kept pushing back and said, now I got to only worry about myself. The Browns don't want to commit to him. So it's convenient at the end of the season. Stefanski's fired, but he wasn't fired right away. He was fired after that. And suddenly we know who broke into Shedeur's home. We have the identities of all four, but we won't announce who they are. Why not? You announce everybody else. And if it was a random dry cleaners, I wouldn't have a signal jammer. And if it was a random dry cleaner and I'm like, oh, I got Shedeur Sanders' address. Hey, bro, let's go rob Shedeur Sanders. I can guarantee you I'm walking out more than some goddamn bags. I promise you that. And if it was random, whoever the random burglars were, wouldn't be looking at that video because they already been to the house. They already know what's in the house. And they wouldn't have been looking at that video to determine who Florida was and who Bucky was. But that's what they were doing. And if it's an inside job, like they wanted you to believe that the door was unlocked, so somebody in Shedeur's camp left the door unlocked so Shedeur could look at his own people, they don't need the video to look at Florida and Bucky. The most watched parts of the video were Florida and Bucky. And them standing on the driveway and you can see the camera. That's the most watched parts of the video. And Bucky was not there. Now, who knew Bucky wouldn't be there? The people in the Browns organization that hired Bucky to come film. Who knew Shedeur would not just be on the sideline and could go home with a nosebleed, but we actively tied up in the game? The Cleveland Browns. And when did this information conveniently get presented to the public? When Cleveland has wrapped its season and everybody is leaving. No more press conferences. We're done. And they won't reveal the identity. And they know who all four are. But they want to talk about it in a press conference the next day. For what? They already lied. It said, unfortunately, a door was unlocked. If I'm a random thief and I'm looking at who is Bucky, who is Florida, who is this, who is that, trying to figure out who's who, which one is his brother? His brother was conveniently not there. And when they let Bucky come back, they didn't let him just go slowly back into what he was doing. He was pregame only. They eased him back in. Like we don't want to be obvious. It's giving Cleveland Browns. It's giving somebody in that organization got Shedeur Sanders' address and knew he would be playing in that game. And understand this, supposedly it was random that Shedeur was playing. That was also a lie. We saw how easy Zach Orr and the Baltimore Ravens defense went on Dylan. As if, and they let Lamar get injured, but not Dylan. So we know for a fact that also was a lie. And now the Medina County Sheriff conveniently, as the Cleveland Browns wrap up, close their case, know who everybody is, not looking at nobody else, and don't want to tell you. Shedeur comes out of that game happy that he got the win and gets to that podium shook. And Jerry Judy runs to the internet and said, if you only knew. More humiliation. It seems to me that Shedeur's NFL experience started off as more than just, we don't want to draft Shedeur to the Giants or to the Browns. Like Kyron Lacy, somebody took advantage of the timing to make Kyron Lacy a less attractive draft prospect. When Shedeur was pre-draft, the Giants took the time to craft a defamation campaign. And people point out that the NFL allowed people to run around and defame Shedeur on draft day and all up until the draft. Remember, the NFL Network defamed the hell out of Shedeur Sanders. It was sold off after that. The NFL gave out Shedeur Sanders' phone number to the guy that's sitting right there with the Ole Miss sweatshirt on that's connected to Joe Schoen in New York. And Joe Schoen gets to keep his job, just like Mark Andrews got a raise after failing in the AFC Championship. And the rookie kicker has been coddled. Oh, he's just a rookie. Young Hoku got his butt kicked right out the Falcons. But Lamar, oh, he can't win the big games. It seems like when they don't like you, they try to destroy you. people saying other coaches should have never said anything positive about Shedeur. Why not? Never feed into the hype. It's not hype. It seems like this entire season, including the pre-draft process, including his time at Colorado, was to make Shedeur seem like he was not an attractive draft prospect. So on the robbery side, I have 3 or 4 people who planned a robbery at 6:46 p.m. You can't say it's the guys who robbed or the people who organized and robbed Pat Mahomes, because Pat Mahomes got robbed at midnight. When you rob people, you don't rob people. 4 people don't show up at another person's house at 6:46 when everybody eating dinner and only take $200,000 worth of stuff after looking to figure out which was Florida or Bucky, which one of them is not going to be here this week. Bucky. And I told y'all, I need Bucky to tell us why he wasn't there. But then I didn't need it no more when he came back the next week, because I saw how they stepped him back up. Pre-game only limited him. So while Bucky was conveniently gone, after Haslam was posturing with the kids with them 12 jerseys on, and one of them was new because the kid had his shirt over his shoulder. So we went from Haslam posturing with them kids on the side, like he supports 12 after he told us he didn't. Then after that, he said, Stefanski did good work for us. No, he didn't, because all Stefanski did was try to humiliate Shedeur. So what kind of work is he doing? It's all pointing back to the Cleveland Browns. It's actually pointing back to the NFL. Just like Kyron Lacey's case. Everybody talk about the vast resources that the NFL has. Exactly. You find out what you want to find out, and you can make something go away if you want to make it go away. Tyreek Hill in Kansas City. That went away. And the DA was involved. So you're not going to tell me the DA didn't know about Kyron Lacey. And the NFL didn't know what the DA knew, because they quickly disinvited Kyron Lacey. And I look at how they devalued Isaiah Bond, and he said he was falsely accused right before the draft. And that's also when Kyron Lacey's grand jury hearing was, and his lawyer kept saying, I just needed you to hold on for one more day. Why? Did you already know he was innocent? That didn't make no sense. And it proved he knew too. What was going to happen if he was alive? He would have been devalued. They would have got him for less money. So Shedeur, what happened to him? They lied on him. He got devalued, and they got him for less money, but he won't go away. Shedeur Sanders, I heard y'all say multiple times that Philly and Baltimore were interested in drafting Shedeur. Well, after last night, I figured out exactly where that came from. Andrew Berry's twin brother works in Philly as strategic operations. Andrew Berry's former boss, Sashi Brown, works in Baltimore as president of operations. So Andrew Berry was using his connections to try to get Shedeur to go to Philly or Baltimore. That's where those calls came from. I told y'all. Cleveland didn't want Shedeur there because they knew they would get exposed. So they pissed off at him because he showed up. So the question is, did they send these 4 people with signal jammers to his house after looking at the video to see where Bucky was, isolated Bucky by making sure he wasn't available, making sure Shedeur couldn't go home with a nosebleed because he on the field playing, surprise, to go to his house, clean out his nightstands, and get something. And on the last game that he wins, when he gets to the locker room, we reveal the information. We found this in your nightstands. Jerry Judy runs to the internet, if y'all only knew. And then the police, Stefanski get fired. Then the police show up. Yep, the case is closed. We found out who did it. It's these 4 right here, but we're not going to tell you who it is. That's some bullshit right there. I ain't saying that's what happened, but it fit, don't it? You can change out the names. You can change out the scenario, but it fits. I already told y'all that it was an inside job, and they wanted you to think it was one thing, but it was another. That's what they did with the prank. And that points back to the NFL. The same NFL that after they gave out Shedeur Sanders' phone number and had them throwing the ball to equipment managers, Shedeur was actually throwing the ball to equipment managers. So you could kind of see how they operate. You can't just run into Walmart or Target and buy a signal jammer. The people who robbed Pat Mahomes or Joe Burrow in jail, and that was an organized ring, and they robbed them at midnight, not 6:46, when Shedeur is playing in a goddamn football game that he didn't know he was playing in. Only people, a few people knew where Shedeur lived because Shedeur never changed his driver's license. It wasn't the dry cleaners because they don't have signal jammers. The fact that Bucky was not there points to people inside the Cleveland Browns organization who knew not to hire Bucky for that week. The fact that the police want to tell us about it on Thursday, when you already know who it is, on Wednesday, the last day when everybody is leaving Cleveland. We're going to let everybody get out of here first, and then we'll go ahead on and talk about it. I told y'all when they robbed Shedeur, you could see when you looked at the video. I did a better investigation than they did. You could see when they looked at the video. They wasn't even all up in the closets. I told you when we heard they ransacked his rooms and took the contents of his 2 nightstands, I told you what they was looking for. Leverage. So if he would have asked for a trade, he would have been Deshaun Watson 2.0. I told you from the jump. That's why Deshaun and Shedeur over there together. Remember, the women in Deshaun Watson's case, unlike Justin Tucker's, they didn't come forward. They got found. So the contents of Shedeur Sanders' nightstands turned up something embarrassing, and they hung it up in the locker room or left it while he was in the shower for him to find when he come back. And Jerry Judy thought it was funny to run to the internet and tell us. And that was the way for them to let him know it was us. We got you at all times, coming and going. And the Browns refused to commit to Shedeur. And they harassed him, abused him, humiliated him the entire time he was there. When they asked Shedeur about the robbery, you know what I heard him say? I'm glad it happened the way it did. The way it did? The way it did. What was the way it did? What was the way it happened? It happened while he was playing in a game that nobody knew he was going to play in other than the Cleveland Browns, while his brother Bucky was not hired by the Cleveland Browns to come and film that particular week. That's the way it happened. And Jerry Judy is just the kind of ignorant to run to the internet just like he did and say, ha, 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 if you only knew. People were like, do tell. I was like, it's cool because karma has no expiration date. So they wanted you to think that somebody at Shedeur's house left the door open. And these guys knew exactly where to go to get in an open door, but they didn't. They kicked that bitch in. Thinking they smart enough to use a signal jammer so we don't figure out who they were, but they left somebody in a getaway car with a cell phone who could communicate if some shit pop off, and that's how they got busted. And understand this. I told you after the robbery, if it takes a long time to find out who it is, it's an inside job. Because with geofencing, you know like that. You can get a geofencing warrant Monday morning. The game was a Sunday. Monday morning by noon, you have a warrant from the judge for geofencing. You have a warrant from the judge for geofencing. You start looking through cell phone records, pinging towers. You got that by Friday. Not conveniently will the Browns have wrapped their season after Stefanski got fired. It's an inside job. Just like the prank call pre-draft. Same thing. It's the same thing. Look at the lie, look at the cover up, look at the timing. It was too much inside information. And all they did was go in on something else
has
that was
been
happening.
negatively affected with emotional distress, right? After what? Being publicly humiliated in front of 7.3 million people. And let me tell you what Colin Cowherd is doing. He knows that. He knows what happened to Shedeur was what? Coming off the heels of what? The NFL draft. Being devalued, colluded against. They took him off the board and didn't even tell him. They had his phone number. Why they didn't call him and tell him? Because they sent his phone number out to 2,000 people who did not need to know. Where's the accountability for that data breach? Where's the accountability for the collusion against Shedeur? For the owner saying, take that entitled so-and-so off the board, which was language lifted the tongue of the New York Giants head coach, which was a lie. And after Ms. Pilar called out the New York Giants, they backed off of their lie about he was prepared. This young man's nickname is Gronk, right? So Colin Cowherd is deflecting from the damages caused by emotional distress, cruelty, collusion, public humiliation. He's deflecting because he's saying Shedeur Sanders shouldn't be QB1 because he got a speeding ticket.
Fans are asking, is there a connection to Jackson Dart and the New York Giants? As you know, the New York Giants are the only franchise to issue defamatory and negative statements against Shedeur Sanders. So, did the New York Giants intentionally defame Shedeur Sanders to justify drafting a lesser talented QB and Jackson Dart, who went to Ole Miss? Now, what did the end of it say? Did all of this happen to justify drafting Jackson Dart, who was lesser talented than Shedeur? That's exactly why all of the humiliation happened to Shedeur Sanders, to justify putting Jackson Dart in front of Shedeur to make Shedeur seem like he's less of a desirable talent. What did Andrew Berry say? Shedeur has a retro style QB skill set. Like, it's too expensive for, he's not worth first round money. Now, I want you to understand something. First round off the board in 2026 is $50 million, and it's going to a check down king. But Shedeur Sanders' skill set, according to Andrew Berry, isn't desirable, isn't worth first round money, but you're going to get a quarterback that can throw 13 yards per pass. Essentially a Dylan at 6'5" instead of 5'8". That's worth first round money. When the NFL said they don't want quarterbacks like Shedeur Sanders, according to Mel Kiper Jr., they meant it. And they treated him like it. And look at how they treat Lamar. Happy birthday, Lamar Jackson. Look at how they treat Lamar Jackson. They don't like and want him either. So if I praise a Dylan, who's a check down king, and I'm willing to pay $50 million to Mendoza, who's also a check down king, but it's 6'5". No, I don't want Shedeur and Lamar because they can ball out. And that's what all of this is about. Trying to run off Lamar by asking him, is he getting ready to retire? And he quips back, I'm only 28. What the hell? Let's see who his next head coach is. Because it could be Stefanski or John Harbaugh 2.0. We don't know where Shedeur going to be. People keep saying Andrew Berry let it slip. He didn't let shit slip because he told you on the last day of their press conference that they're going to look at the draft for a quarterback. They're going to look at veterans for a quarterback, that the quarterback position has not been solidified, which is absolute bullshit. And now he going to come back and let it slip. That Shedeur got to be ready. Day one, that must be AI. Y'all must be looking at AI. Because you don't pivot like that in 24 hours unless you bust it. The Browns are not committed to Shedeur. And if you didn't get the memo, Daniel Oyefuse put out the words from the Browns that said they haven't seen enough from Shedeur to name him the starter. So you've been watching AI. Andrew Berry said with his own words, we have not solidified the quarterback position. We will look at the draft. We will look at veterans. That means Dylan ain't him. Shedeur ain't him. Deshaun ain't him, and they gonna run back this year again because we all know, and I don't have told you, they want the Manny kid. Enters Isaiah Bond. This was an inside job, and it has the Cleveland Browns all over it, the NFL as well. It just does. And for the police to close the investigation but not identify the people, you were certain you knew it's them, so you're not looking for nobody else. So why not say who it is? And then you want to hold a press conference on Thursday. Oh, you're not going to say who it is on Thursday? I told you if it take this long, from November to January, it's an inside job. The fact that they were only looking at Bucky in Florida on the video to case the house, they weren't looking at a closet. They took his nightstand contents. They need to know who Florida and Bucky were so they don't run into them. They were trying to figure out who was Bucky, who was Florida. Bucky wasn't there, so they didn't have to worry about him. Shedeur was where? On the field, not on the sideline. And where was his mom? Remember, Shedeur has to get tickets for his mom and other people, so they knew she was sitting in her seat. This was an inside job by the few people who knew Shedeur Sanders' phone number, address. Understand that. And if it was somebody like a teammate who had been to his house, they wouldn't have had to kick the door in. Didn't they tell you the door was unlocked on one side? Or was that a lie too? Did any of his teammates know he was going to be playing with the Ravens? Why would his teammates send somebody to go look at a video to figure out who Bucky and Florida are? If I've been to Shedeur house, I can show you who Florida and Bucky are. I can go straight to the internet. I don't need to show you a video. This was an inside job, and they were looking to identify who they was going to run into. And it was a lie that the door was unlocked. They kicked it in with a signal jammer that random people don't have. And it seems like they're trying to slide in on what happened with Pat Mahomes, but it's not the same. But I bet they got caught the same way. This is nothing but what happened with that prank in the draft. It was designed to humiliate. And some people were sent to that house to go through ransack his bedroom, clear out the contents of his nightstand to bring back to somebody else. And the reward is take what you want. They could only take what they could carry, the bags. But they didn't get his jewelry, the contents of his nightstand. Inside job, and it's pointing at the Cleveland Browns. The timing, perfect timing. Everybody gone. It said, good news. I am interested to hear what they have to say. Who sent them? Right. So we'll see. They're not going to tell. It said, if it's done in the dark, it will come out in the light. I sent the first video on the topic where I was telling people why it was an inside job. And this is a clip right here. Second. Oh, I have to move somebody's comment. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Right. To pick them up. Right. Right. The fact that they tried to copycat and slide in on another criminal trend is exactly what happened with the old Miss Prank Caller, which is connected to the New York Giants. Understand that a lie was issued, a cover up was issued, and they just let it be. The timing was perfect. The release of the information in this robbery was perfect. So understand this. This was an inside job. The fact that Bucky wasn't there, the fact that they kept trying to figure out who Bucky was, they kept trying to figure out who Florida was. Somebody sent them. And you know this because what did they do? They used their phone to call somebody. First, they took a picture of the location. Is this the right place? Yes. Okay, we about to go in. Cool, he on the field. Understand that. If the police come out on a Thursday after they told us they got the 3 guys and they're looking for the 4th because they know who it is, they issued a warrant. They ain't even looking for it. They just probably want them to turn themselves in. If they come out and tell you that they were some fans, they a goddamn lie. Because the fans didn't know that Shedeur would be playing in the game, just like a random fan didn't know that Shedeur was going to have to wait a little longer because the Saints was going with Tyler Shaw. That was all intended to humiliate Shedeur. Just like the robbery to his house and them cleaning out his nightstands. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. It's also convenient that everybody's gone from Cleveland. And now Stefanski's fired, and now you want to come on and tell us. They already had the contents of his nightstand. The Browns thought they was going to keep Stefanski. But the fans made them move off Stefanski. Stefanski get fired. And now we find out. Did Stefanski get fired because something happened in the locker room? You know what Skip Bayless said? Skip Bayless said Kevin Stefanski can't mess with Shedeur no more. That's what he said. He didn't say he was a bad coach. He said he can't mess with Shedeur no more. What the hell does that mean? Stefanski was messing with Shedeur. So was the robbery also messing with Shedeur? Yes, it was. That's why it's convenient now. Everybody gone. Let me see what y'all saying about this, and I'm gonna address what y'all saying. I put in the link to the original video that I made if you want to go back and look at the long video. Again, I would love to know why Bucky wasn't there, but again, I don't even need to know no more because I already figured it out. It said, I wonder if they're white. They're not black. It said, because it happened, Bucky made it seem like they were black. They were not black. If one of them was, it was one of them. They were not black. And people still believe it's the 3 dudes that were standing on the side, the sideline with Haslam. They were not black. They were not black. You could see at one point, I think at one point you could see that they were not black. You could see somebody's skin or something. And honestly, I don't think they would have had a signal jammer. I'm gonna just put it on out there like that. I just don't think so. Somebody told, yeah, it said, hey, great news. It said, hello everyone, Nola girl. You keep us current with all the happenings. Love it. Thank you, Nikki Sophie. It says Shedeur did have 2 bags on Sunday. What you mean? Oh, like what he was walking with? Yeah, he probably bought something else. I wouldn't even want them back. Hey, how you doing? How you doing, Anna? Welcome back. Hey, Amber, good evening. It said they have the complexion for the protection. Right. If they was black, you would have known their names today. Unless somebody hired them to do it. I'm sorry. I went and looked up the arrest records. Nothing. They keeping this close to their vest, which is how I know they've been had this info. And why you want to come talk about it on Thursday? What the hell else do you want us to know? You already know who it is. So why would you tell me on Thursday? You're going to tell me it's some random fans. Bullshit. Just like with that prank call. And if they come out and they say that, they ain't going to tell you it's organized crime. Because them 3 wasn't organized crime. Them 3 was not organized crime. They might have been sent by organized crime, but I would have took way more than that. Bags that you'll never see again. The type of distinctive bags that Shedeur have, they should already be back in his possession. I will want them though. It said, good evening, Nola. It said, fam. It said, how you doing? It said, I'll wave later tonight. Do your thing. Glad they got them. Rest assured, this is definitely a relief and a breakthrough. Thank you, Mama Tia. It said, you think Shedeur knew them and that's why he was off Sunday? It's the reason why something happened from walking off the field to the locker room. He looked shook. So unless they arrested 3 Browns players, I don't think so, right? Unless they arrested somebody in his circle, I don't know. So, you know, he definitely looked shook. And I was like, did he find out who it was? Like, did they tell him, but they tell other people? We're going to have to see tomorrow. If they say it's some random fans, though, I don't believe it. Just like they did with that prank. I think it's the same thing. They move the same way. Oh, well, let's slide in on this prank. That's what they keep doing. They keep sliding in on something that's already happening so you won't think it's them. But then there are small details like the video pointing directly at Bucky, pointing directly at Florida. I'm trying to see who the hell that is. That's how you know it was nobody that knew Shedeur, because anybody that had spent time at Shedeur house knew who the hell Florida was, knew who the hell Bucky was. And then Bucky wasn't there conveniently. Only Cleveland had the power to make that happen. You cannot ignore that. You can't ignore that. Shedeur probably won't press charges. He's just wants his bags back. It said, because they ain't got no money to pay him back, and maybe whomever had them to do it will be told. I doubt it. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. There's a reason why the getaway driver is still running, because they scared. So, you know, unless somebody trying to help them out. Again, that's what the delay is for. The delay provides somebody to come in and say, hey, let me take care of this. Yeah, that's what it is. What wasn't done for Kyrie Lacey, what wasn't done for Shedeur, it was done for Tyreek Hill. Interesting. It said, good evening, Nola and fans. It said, wondrous breakthrough. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Mama Tia. It said over 200,000 stolen. It's kind of not up to Shedeur. We'll see. I know what you mean. We'll see. You would think that Ohio or the county of Medina would be like, now we got to put an end to this. Yeah, okay. I wonder how long they've been knowing. About 3 weeks? 4 weeks? A month? Come on now. It said, break in my house, rummage through my personal belongings, and I'm on the first thing smoking from Miami to press charges. That's what I say. It said, if the Atlanta DC gets promoted, we will know. I already told you. What did I say during the season? I said, notice they trying to fire Raheem Morris. You know what they were saying when I was watching their games? Ooh, Yulbrich. He was even trending the other day when I was live. I said, I told you. Pay attention. Mark Andrews got his reward. Let's see who get their reward for what happened to Shedeur. And see, they think people forget. See, Mark Andrews dropped that pass that kept them from going to the Super Bowl. He wasn't even supposed to be the one they throw the ball to. That wasn't an accident. He kept dropping the ball in the game. It wasn't an accident. He should have been taken out. But he got a reward this year. And what happened again? Let's see if the kid can get his reward next year. Let's see who get a reward from what happened in the draft since we back to about to be approaching the next one. And they think people stupid. Oh, Mark Andrews must have did a good job. No, the hell he didn't. It's even documented 5 years ago how he used to disappear in big games. So they went and got some more people for Lamar to throw to. And they said, to hell with Lamar, we're going to still throw to Mark Andrews. And he's going to do what we need him to do. And now he just got a $36 million raise and a $23 million guaranteed and been in the league 14 years. That don't make no sense. That's exactly what the Washington Commanders, one of the reasons they were forced to sell their teams. They were overpaying veterans for what? To hurt RG3. And guess where they sent RG3 after that? After the owner was forced to sell the team, they sent him to Cleveland, where the bullshit can continue. This ain't orchestrated. It's something they've been doing. They clinging on to the past. They don't want Shedeur and Lamar and other black quarterbacks to be great. They don't think their skill sets are worthy to get first round, number one overall money. And when they give it to you, like Caleb or Bryce Young or Cam Ward, you get sacked excessively. You can't even enjoy it. It's all, everything is done begrudgingly. Well, we don't want to do this. We don't want to do that. We don't want black quarterbacks, but we'll take you and make your life hell. Humiliate you. Have you sacked excessively, which could early disrupt the quality of your life. They hate them. All of them. Now they saying only Mendoza is the best quarterback coming out. The rest are all second, third, and fourth round draft picks. Dante Moore, stay in school. It ain't safe, boo. Not yet. I think next season some shit gonna shake. Or at least maybe that's what I hope. Good evening, good evening, good evening. This was definitely an inside job, and only Cleveland knew the information that was taking place. It said these black guys have to stop to be so passive. Yeah, and what did Demarius Smith say? Remember, this is just a job. They try to get the black players to believe that we're family. And you know what's so funny? I saw a picture of Harbaugh constantly touching on Lamar. That's the craziest shit ever, because that's exactly what Stefanski was doing. Touching all on Shedeur, but he can't stand Shedeur. Didn't even mention Shedeur in his last press conference. Mentioned the kicker. Mentioned Myles Garrett. So all of that touchy, all that was fake. Same thing with Harbaugh. They talk about, just touch on them so people will think, it's nothing. It's a plot. It's a book. And they pass it around. In fact, Stefanski said, he kept using the word script. I told you Stefanski tries to tell. He tries to tell. So he's telling you there's a script. And there's a script for Lamar. And there's a script for Shedeur. And there's a script for every black quarterback. And it's the same. And because fans are typically siloed by team, they don't pay attention. But now they are starting to pay attention. There's now clips out there with fans of Baltimore celebrating that Harbaugh gone, while people are actually romanticizing Harbaugh. Truth is, the players didn't want to play for him no more. Truth is, he was supposed to be fired in 2018 when Lamar got drafted. And guess who saved his job? Lamar. These black players, y'all got to let these folks walk, because he made your life hell. Robbed you of 2 opportunities to get to the Super Bowl that I know of. Lamar saved him. So I'm glad Shedeur didn't save Stefanski's job. And people are calling Andrew Berry out for talking about how it is that Stefanski is family. I'm like, it's funny how your family undermined you the same way he undermined Shedeur. And if he don't like Shedeur and think he worthy because he black, he don't think you worthy to be an executive. And that's why you're on the same level as him, even though you went to Harvard. That's what these guys, black men in the NFL, have to learn how to do, stand up for themselves. I'm proud of Shedeur for surviving Stefanski, but it's very possible his parting gift could have been a revelation to embarrass him in the locker room. Something. Because Jerry Jeudy was referencing something because he's ignorant. So what is crazy is the prank caller is the son of the Falcons coach. No, the prank caller is not the son of the Falcons coach. You see how they put that out there and people still stuck on it? The prank caller is the boyfriend of the daughter of the New York Giants. It's not. They don't even look alike. The DC and Atlanta, they have black hair. That kid has blonde hair. No. See, they use that Atlanta family to cover for the New York people. You see that? They covered for Joe Sean, his daughter, and her boyfriend, and everybody else that sent out that information, that wrote it down for him, typed it out for him to use. They covered for the entire New York Giants organization. And whoever else is connected to Ole Miss. Because Jackson Dart was welcomed in by the Mannings, who are also connected to the Saints, who may also shortly be connected to the Browns. And that is why Haslam is pushing Shedeur away, because he's betting the farm on the Manning kid, which is why Isaiah Bond is there already, because the Manning kid was supposed to come out this year and very well still could. This is a very lackluster draft. Don't be surprised if somebody pop on up, because next year going to be crazy. If you only knew could mean that they've been told Stefanski he was fired. It could. It could. It could. It very well could. It could mean a lot of things. It could mean a lot of things, but I don't know why Jerry Jeudy would take to the internet being happy about that, because we know he was Stefanski's patsy. So it could mean a lot of things. Like I said, it fits, but you could change the name, you could change the context, but the context was the same. But the details, you could change the details, and it still fit. He still fit. If you only knew, that don't even really fit with Stefanski being fired in the context of Jerry Jeudy selling out Shedeur. That ain't nothing he would celebrate. He was trying to say he knew something that nobody else knew. And if you knew, you would feel a certain way. That's what he was saying. It said the Titans defense player that threw his wrist up, house got robbed too. You talking about Simmons. Yeah, but he don't play for Cleveland. I'm sure a lot of NFL players get robbed, but probably not with signal jammers. At 6:46, when you randomly play in a game for the first time all season, while your brother is not there. Yeah, no, sorry, absolutely not. It said, right, they've been knew Stefanski was fired. They could have. Yep, it could have. It said that was sad. It said Malik Neighbors was Kyron Lacey's friend and okay, so that's who that was in the video. It was Malik Neighbors and it was Jada Daniels, and they were in a draft video, and the NFL had Kyron Lacey on camera, and they was like, "You gonna be here next?" Yeah. Kyron Lacey also wore the number 2, and he had this big chain that said 2. I don't think they liked him, because he's confident, right? Jada Daniels seems quiet, right? Malik Neighbors seems quiet, right? Kyron Lacey wasn't necessarily quiet. He wasn't a bad guy, but he liked to have fun. I'm trying to think of somebody who I could kind of say he's like, just a fun guy, but he knew who he was, right? He's confident, It said, I stated from the beginning, you know how Coach Prime ain't playing about his son. No, he not. Nope, he not. It said, I bet they have something to do with somebody. Yeah, thank you. It said they need to tell Shedeur publicly that he is the starting QB of the Browns. Right. It's ugly to continue to do that. It is. It's ugly. And to be honest with you, after listening to Skip talk about Haslam likes Shedeur, that irritates the hell out of me every goddamn time. Because no, he don't. No, he don't. The fact that he ran up down there on that field with them kids with that 12 jersey on before that robbery, again, it don't look so good. It don't look so good. It just don't look good for the Cleveland Browns. It just doesn't. It does not look good for the Cleveland Browns. They had some inside information from only people within the Browns organization had, including Bucky's whereabouts. Not going to ever let that go, because you can't ignore it. And you can't ignore how people were like, oh, wow, Haslam like Shedeur. That's what he wanted you to think. That's exactly what he wanted you to think. After he told you, he ain't my pick. And Barry didn't even mince his words. Yeah, we haven't solidified the quarterback position. So they want to run Shedeur through it again. And Barry's supposed to be that guy. We gonna see. I said yesterday he might be in good hands. That's a big might. Pay attention to who Lamar's next coach is. Pay attention to who the Cleveland Browns next head coach is. Harbaugh is not it. He's washed. And he should have been fired in 2018, but Lamar saved his job. I bet he won't do that no more. It is a public record. You have to have a name to know who it is. Like some cities have arrest records where they arrest people, but you don't know who they arrested. Like if like they'll tell you the crimes that happened. So-and-so car was broken into at such and such address outside of Chipotle in Midtown or something like that. They won't tell you who's who just yet. Now in Georgia, I think they print who got arrested and who going to jail. I think they put all of that out there. You know what jail they going to and all that kind of stuff. Cleveland and Ohio and Georgia, they not the same place. They not the same place. So I look for the crimes in the area. Yeah. There's only 5,000 people live in that little area too. Dylan and his girlfriend sent them. No, I'm gonna go up a little higher than they pay grade. It said because it was an inside job. Yeah, it was an inside job. It said Andrew Berry hinted in his latest interview. He said what he's looking for Shedeur to be. I don't know where y'all saw that at, and I don't know if that's AI, but that's not the case. And if so, he's posturing because he just said 24 hours before that. We haven't solidified the quarterback position. We're going to look in the draft. We're going to look at veterans. They not looking at Shedeur. He even said, we don't have a leader. They want to get a leader. I'm like, that's a slap in the face. Because Shedeur is a proven leader. And when he backed off of that leadership label at the end, he was like, nah, I just got to be concerned about myself. Something happened. Something happened. You don't go from being overly happy that you won a game that probably people didn't even want you to win and coming out and looking shook and all you did was go take a shower and put your clothes on. And then Jerry Judy out here talking about if you only knew. That ain't have shit to do with Stefanski. It said the press conference tomorrow should reveal what actually happened. We shall see, Roger. We shall see. It said we need to know who the thieves are. Maybe they'll tell us tomorrow. It said, I know your eyes be on it tomorrow. Yeah. It said Andrew Berry absolutely slipped up when he said, yeah, okay, no. You don't need to slip up. Do you see how Baltimore chose Lamar over Harbaugh? And before that, in free agency, we love Lamar. Who did they tell you they love? Tommy Reese, who they say is being interviewed for the head coach job, told you he loved Jerry Judy and we will feature him more. To do what? Drop passes. And that's what he did. Why would I love Shedeur after that? No. I'm not saying Shedeur not coming back there. I can see the NFL leaving him right there to rot. Absolutely. And it ain't going to be the win because who do they want to get after Shedeur? The Manning kid. He ain't Shedeur. He probably more, I think he's actually better than Mendoza, to be honest. Mendoza's a check down king. The Manning kid can throw the ball. They have reserved that parking space. Just like you see them steadfast in not letting Deshaun touch that goddamn field. They are just as steadfast as not committed to Shedeur to be the franchise because they already know they want to get somebody else. They just don't want to tell you. But Tony Grossi spoke on it already. Rizzo spoke on it already. The Manning kid. And I have more respect for Cleveland if they just said it out loud. Why you think Isaiah Bond is there? Because he was a target for the Manning kid, and the Manning kid was coming out this year. So the band will be back together in a couple of months. And shit, it still could be. Because this draft don't have nobody in it. Next year is stacked. It said AB tried to walk it back or clean it up, but it's too late. Yeah, I agree with you. It's too late if he did. Hey fam, just checking how you doing. It said maybe go look at the Cleveland public arrest records. I did. And if I don't know who I'm looking for, I can't figure it out. And plus I didn't see nothing. And they don't live in Cleveland. See, that's the difference. It's not Cleveland, Ohio. It's Medina County. It's outside of Cleveland proper. Maybe Cleveland has that, but this is not Cleveland. This is a different place, a smaller town. They don't even have red light cameras. They voted to not have red light cameras. So they don't want the technology and all of that. They don't want that. They don't even want that. Yeah. So yeah, you gotta watch where you move. That way, if you get robbed, at least they got some cameras. They know Shedeur is $1 billion brand. Must be the money. Yeah, but they don't want that either. They knew that coming into the damn draft. And what did they do? Shun the $1 billion brand. Shun the talent. Because it's black. They want exactly what Shedeur brings to the table from the Manning kid. People need to get that through their heads. People need to understand that that's what's happening here. People romanticizing Harbaugh. Now the truth is coming out. Harbaugh didn't want Lamar to succeed. Why the hell would he hire Monken and get mad because Monken got fired? And why the hell would Haslam hire Monken? Why would he even interview that man? That man is total trash. Talking about unlocking Lamar's passing game. Didn't he win the Heisman? He don't need your help. What they wanted him to do was stand in the pocket and get hit like Shedeur. It's the same script. It's the face he told you it was a script on his way out. Because there's a chance he could be at his house next year. And now they want to bring back Daboll and put him over there with Jaden Daniels talking about he's fond of Jaden Daniels. I don't give a damn who Daboll is fond of. They try to prove he ain't racist. Yes, the hell he is. You're also not human for doing what they did to Shedeur, and we ain't letting that shit go. So he can stay at his house. You see, the universities don't want them. And I think New York is clamoring for Harbaugh because they don't want Stefanski. They already didn't want Stefanski before. They knew what they wanted to get, and they had our eyes on Shedeur and his people so they know when to go in. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This is common sense. This is obvious that that's what's happening. And the fact that this happened to Shedeur in the draft. Then he got robbed. Remember, they took his $40 million. Lied and said it was somebody from Atlanta when it was actually the New York people. Same thing. You know how much shit Shedeur got? Anybody else that was random would have took the license plates off the car, backed up to the garage, and popped the trunk and loaded it up with everything. Because they would have saw dollar signs. That didn't happen. They knew they had to come behind the house. At 6:46, it just got dark. They waited until the sun would go down. They didn't wait till people went to sleep. When they hit up Pat Mahomes, they did it the right way. When everybody was asleep. People asleep at midnight. Everybody's not asleep at 6:46. Anybody could have saw you. They didn't even go up the front of the street because they know people got ring cams. So they thought all of this through. It still got busted. With a signal jammer. In the media, somebody out there lied when they said they walked through the door unlocked like it's random. They wanted you to think it was random, or they wanted you to think it was somebody in Shedeur's camp. But the fact that Bucky wasn't there, the fact that that video was looking at Florida's face, was looking at Bucky's face, was trying to figure out who's who on the driveway. They didn't break no windows in the car. They didn't try to steal the car. They took pictures of the door, sent it to somebody. And when they got closer, after they got that's the place, they kicked it in. So the media got it wrong. And I don't know how, because they kicked the door in. That's intentional. Just like they got it wrong on who made the prank call. Somebody in the comments just still saying it's the Atlanta DC Sun. No, it ain't. And the NFL never cleared that up. It was them. And guess what? Guess what? It's the same MO. The timing is perfect. It said, the dome is the goal and get out of all the crappy contracts. Yeah, it could be. That could be. It said they were talking about the sponsors investing in the dome. Yep, they have sponsors. And see, now, people have to look and that's why they want to ride in on the Manny kid. Now, mind you, Shedeur can get that done, but they don't want that. If I don't want Shedeur and I don't want Lamar, what else I don't want? Cam? This is about black quarterbacks. This is about the NFL holding on to the past and doing everything imaginable to stop progress when the world has moved on, when the game of football has elevated. You're not finna drag fans back with a pocket passer because Mendoza is tall. They're going to catch on real quick. Did they like that shit from Dylan? No, they didn't even want to see it with Shedeur. With Stefanski was pushing it. And it's funny how his job was safe just about a month ago. And suddenly he's gone. Yeah, I don't doubt they want to ride somebody into the stadium. Yes, it should be Shedeur. No, it is not. It is not. It is the Manny kid. Heard today they have enough money to get Harbaugh at a high price, but hear crickets about Shedeur getting millions. Right. Shedeur getting millions. They done stole from him. Right. They ain't gonna never talk about that. It will be done. It will be 2028 the Dome. Huge Shedeur Sanders next move. Yeah, y'all setting yourself up for some heartbreak or failure or just, oh wow. That's what she said. No. They owe Shedeur big time. And they're not gonna never do that. They're not gonna never fix that. It said I was concerned when he said Nikki came by his house. Who the hell is Nikki? It said no one should have his address. Who is Nikki, Priscilla? We don't know who that is. Say what? It said Shedeur has a video with Devin Bush at his house. I wouldn't trust nobody from the team. And his case got dismissed, I think, too. Sure did. First it got postponed, then it got dismissed. Was Nikki his handler who kept tabs on everything he does and when he does it? I want y'all to understand something. HR in Cleveland knows where Shedeur lives. Okay? Nikki didn't need to go over there to know where Shedeur stays. Everybody that work in that front office that collects your information knows where the hell you live. Because when you get a job, you have to give them your social security number and you got to give them an address. Should Nikki have been following him around off the clock? No. And I said that was a problem. Don't overthink this. This is really simple. And this is what they want you to do. Understand this. They didn't need Nikki to tell them shit about that house because it's on video. And they didn't need Nikki to look at Florida and Bucky to figure out who it was. But I bet Nikki knew Bucky would not be there. I bet that. And if it was somebody within the organization they wanted to tell you about, they would have told you before they left. Because everybody's gone. How convenient. Jerry's ignorant. Absolutely. Absolutely. I was wondering who Nikki is too. And it looked like Sanders is in a new place. I can't tell if that's the new house or the same house. I don't really know. It said, Lister says, Shedeur Sanders got information on his robbery last week. That's why he was struggling mentally. Sure, these clowns talked and the info was passed on to Stefanski. Could have been. Could have been. Could have been. It said, these people don't give a damn about Shedeur and his family. Thank you. People were paid and nobody is going to challenge anything. Facts. Because did anybody challenge? Nobody in the media challenge who the hell that is that made that call with that Ole Miss sweatshirt. And people already knew. See, the public knew. See, this is one of the reasons why the public is cheering for Shedeur, because they knew that came from where? The public learned that the NFL gave out his number. The public knew first who Ole Miss was. The public knew that that was the boyfriend of the GM, the daughter of the GM. Everybody knew that. And they just announced he get to keep his job. Harbaugh and Stefanski should be up there because New York going to regret that. You see, they let that ball go, but you want to keep Joe Schoen and that's your future son-in-law? Okay. All right. Questions? All right. All right. And they just kept lying to people and they let people believe a lie and they moved off of it and never came back to the topic. Just doing people dirty and keeping it pushing. That's all it is. That's all it is. Doing people dirty and keeping it pushing. Black quarterbacks at that. You're exactly right. When it happened, I said they were looking for all the evidence on owners and possibly players from the way the season went. Coaches and GMs getting fired is bigger than football. Yeah, they definitely went through his nightstands and ransacked his room looking for some stuff. It said it's the dude who walks with Shedeur. That's Florida, and no, that ain't Florida. They were looking at Florida on the video. That's why Quishawn came over to console him. I don't know. Could have been. Could have been. Now leaking Browns. It said they want to go after Ty Simpson and get rid of Shedeur. You're gonna hear that the whole way through. It's 120 days, y'all said, before they have to announce the coach. Allow the media to talk for 119 days. They are going. What did I tell you they was gonna do? I said they're gonna talk about everybody other than Shedeur. This was coming. This was coming. This was coming. This was coming. Barry said they got a lot of cap space. I don't know how they get it because Deshaun's still over there. So that tell me the insurance company must be picking up his damn salary again. Or they picked it up for 2 years in a row, which is why he was gonna never touch the field and they was lying. Explain it. You took a big swing and miss with Deshaun, and you couldn't get Shedeur because of Deshaun. Well, guess what? Now you got Shedeur and Deshaun, but you got Shedeur for $1 million. You did $975,000, and you won't even say whether you committed to bringing him back. I want to see what team end up with Shedeur because it's gonna be for $1 million. There were already people that predicted that Shedeur was gonna be in and out the league in 4 years. Why you think they can predict that? Just like they predicted Deshaun has taken his last snap in the NFL because that's what they already decided. But enters 20 million fans for Shedeur. We're going to see. We're going to see. I posted something today in the community and I said the NFL is AZZ. You heard it here first. Because if you think it was ugly in the draft and in Cleveland and with Lamar, it ain't over. Because the goal is still to make sure there's not 17 of 32 black starting quarterbacks. And of the coaches that got fired, 7 of them got fired, right? I think including Harbaugh. Why 6 of them have black starting quarterbacks? And they already pushing the narrative. Yeah, I think the owners, the coach is gonna want to get his own quarterback. How many did I say? 6. We already down to 12. If I move off of 6 of them and make them QB2s, because I could do it, then how many is left? 6. So in 1 year, from the beginning to the end, I went from 17 to 6. When they said they didn't want quarterbacks like Shedeur, they meant black quarterbacks. Why do you think these black quarterbacks going back to school? Hell, that's probably why the coach at Notre Dame went back to school too. He know he black. They trying to fire Aaron Glenn and they just hired him. Andrew Berry on the chopping block. He just don't know it. He just doing their dirty work, getting black players for cheap while he give guaranteed contracts and draft white players first. Let's see who come out. Everybody's like, ooh, it should be Cornell Tate. You know what I heard somebody say? Oh, they're not going to get a wide receiver because they black. And they're right. Oh, there's an offensive tackle coming out. And what are they? Mostly. But Andrew Berry got everybody else for cheap. That's why he got a job. Because he's willing to devalue the black players and overpay the white players on behalf of the owners. Dirty little secret. Let's see who they draft. I will not be watching, but I will follow up when it's over. They get an offensive tackle, he white, understand, or not black, understand. That buddy wealth transfer system. It said, I was wondering why it was going around. And some coaches are allegedly saying they don't want to coach with Shedeur because they want to say that it's the same thing from the draft, making Shedeur seem like a problem. It's a script. Time to pull out the script from the draft. Shedeur is this, Shedeur is that, Shedeur is a problem. Coach Prime is a problem. Shedeur this, Shedeur, it's the script. Even Stefanski admitted it's a script. And I know people didn't take him seriously, but I knew, I pay attention to Stefanski. He tries to tell you what's going on. He tries to tell you what's going on. They don't like Cam in Tennessee. They trying to move off these black starting quarterbacks. Ocho Cinco said there's no more Lamar Jacksons. There's no more Pat Mahomes because they don't want that. That's why I said the NFL is AZZ. Remember, I'm a little ahead of other people. You're going to see it. And you're going to be nauseated by the time the draft comes with how they try to devalue Shedeur again, suggesting that he shouldn't be the starter. Let me know when they suggest he should be traded. He shouldn't be the starter. He hasn't shown enough. Then trade him. Let me know when they have that conversation. You think it's a coincidence the media don't never talk about trading Shedeur to this, that, and the other? No, it's a script. They got their talking points. Make people believe he's not a QB1. That's what they did in the draft. That's what they did coming out of Colorado. And they're going to do it again. And they're going to do it again. But the fans are not controlled by what the hell the media say. So the Browns are going to lose again. Where the fans are concerned. Haslam better watch himself. I don't give a damn what kind of sponsors he going to get. That actually makes things worse for him. And don't forget, a lot of these private equity firms are starting to invest in these teams, and they don't give a damn about the racial politics that the NFL has. They want the Shedeurs. They'll take the mannequin too, but they want the Shedeurs. Pay attention. Something gonna shake. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And this robbery was a little too, the revelation of they apprehended the 3 suspects and they have a 4th and identified all 4, but don't want to say who it is, but we're going to come back and talk to you tomorrow. It's just a little too neatly packaged at the end of the Browns season when everybody's leaving. All right, I'm going to get out of here and we'll be back. It said if the culprits were black, they're faced with, thank you. People got to stop overthinking this stuff. It said yes, because the tri-state is racist and don't want a black QB1. It ain't just the tri-state, baby. It's the NFL. It said, nah, that came from Kevin's media cronies. It said he could be security. Who knows? Yeah. I think they talking about Florida. Yep, 12 is legendary. That's why Quishan visited Shedeur Sanders. Did anyone, Shedeur Sanders, diss Musgrove before? Did anyone, Shedeur Sanders diss Musgrave before the winning kick? Now, are you talking about on that mic'd up video? I didn't see that. I know they were talking, but I didn't think he dissed him. Thongate. Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. Remember when Shiloh did that video talking about Shedeur wear thong, this, that, and the other? That was hilarious. But like I said, Shedeur went into the locker room jubilant and came to the podium shook. Something transpired between there. So maybe, I don't know, the police was waiting on him and was like, hey, we found out the guys were, and it's this, that, and the other. But I don't know. I don't know. Not sure. All I know is Shedeur pushed back off that leadership role. He's like, I got to worry about myself. In other words, I'm not going to do that. So they're going to do the same. They're going to run back the same script. I think if it were something embarrassing, it would have leaked to the public. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. And it still could, Amber, but not necessarily. I mean, we don't know what the hell Jerry Judy was talking about yet, do we? And he went to the internet with it. And we still don't know what the hell he's talking about. So not necessarily. If you have noticed something, there are things that are happening in NFL you never know about. There are things that happen in that locker room you never know about. They can have a fist fight, but you ain't going to know about it. They barely talk about the things that they need to say are happening. So yes, something transpired between walking off the field jubilant and getting to the podium being shook. And Jerry Judy ran straight to the internet. And if you only knew, and people was like, so you going to tell us? That happened for a reason. Something happened. I'm going to stay about it. It said everybody was rooting for 12 on that last winning drive. It said Cleveland had him mic'd up for the last game. They want him to succeed, get the right coach. Yeah, the city is happy. See, that's the difference. The fan base likes Shedeur, right? And if you pay attention to Haslam, he's basically telling you the fans ain't happy, so you got to ghost the fans because you should have won more than 5 games. But here's what I say to that. If you knew he could have won more than 5 games, why did you not fire him? because the NFL has its own agenda where Shedeur is concerned. The NFL has its own agenda where Lamar is concerned. Pay attention to who his next coach is. Shedeur and Lamar. Pay attention. The fact that Haslam was running over trying to get anybody from Baltimore that just set up Lamar should tell you, I want the same thing he was doing over there over here. I'm looking for a Stefanski 2.0. That's why I sent y'all a poll and asked, is Harbaugh Stefanski 2.0? Overwhelmingly, most of y'all said no. But when I asked, were y'all ready to boycott? Overwhelmingly, y'all said no. And then we got there, didn't we? You'll get there. The best place for Harbaugh and Stefanski to go is to New York, where they have a white QB1. Why is that? No need to destroy a black QB1's career. And that's what they're going to do. And you're going to be exposed. See, if Harbaugh go to a team that have a Cam Ward, notice he not linked to Tennessee. You're going to get exposed. Because the same shit you tried with Shedeur, the script, you're going to try to run it in Tennessee and the fans going to see it. See, that's the part they never think of. They keep running the same script and they act like nobody's going to put 2 and 2 together. Shedeur's robbery and the way it was handled is the same script from the so-called prank call that they tried to slide in on. It's the same thing. But they never thought anybody would look it up to see if the people who robbed Mahomes or Joe Burrows, they in jail. So it ain't them. And they didn't even take that kind of stuff. And they didn't even do the same thing. And they never think people are smart enough to go, well, damn. Bucky show wasn't there for that one. Show wasn't. And Haslam show was showing love to Shedeur before that, but then Bucky didn't get invited back. And when he did, he was phased in slowly, pregame only. They never think people gonna look at YouTube and can look at the metrics and see the most watched part of the video, and it's on Florida's face, it's on Bucky's face, but Bucky's not there. I checked Devin Bush's court case. I told you I was gonna stay with it. First it got postponed, then it got dismissed. But if he was the one that left the door unlocked, they still kicked the door in. So that don't make no sense. It don't. And who is he acting on behalf of? Because is that how his case got dismissed? Possible. But I don't think I needed all that. I could look at the video and see he had cameras. That's why they wore masks. I just needed to know who Florida and Bucky was. I'm trying to figure out who's who. You don't think the Browns knew that Miss Pilar was sitting in her seat? Of course they did. They knew she picked up her tickets. They knew who else picked up their tickets too. They also knew Bucky wasn't there, and they knew Shedeur was going to be playing. That's not a coincidence. That's not a coincidence. Don't overthink this. It's too simple. So let's see if they tell us tomorrow the truth. Are they going to tell us, yes, I'm fans? We'll see. We will see. That's the thing about it. Yeah. I'm agreeing with it's either the league and or the Browns or it's both. Because whoever was involved in this prank, there was the New York Giants, which is a team, and it was the NFL. They both were involved. And neither one of them have suffered consequences, but they made other people scapegoats. The first thing the New York Giants did after the draft was fire their scouting personnel to make you believe they lied about, or they got it wrong about Shedeur. That was number one. Number two, they fired Daboll, who defamed Shedeur. Why do you think it is that they're coming out and saying Daboll is fond of Jaden Daniels? I don't give a shit who he fond of. What he did to Shedeur, he ought to be banned. And they felt like that was enough to fire Daboll. So they scapegoated him. And Joe Schoen got to keep his job. But that is his daughter's boyfriend. You see? Scapegoating everybody. So let's see who they're going to scapegoat tomorrow. Some fans. Oh, it's just some fans. That's bullshit, bro. Fans didn't know he would be playing. They didn't know Bucky wouldn't be there. Fans would have did what I said. They would have popped that damn trunk, rolled right up to that house, took the tags off, and kept it that damn pushing. Exactly. They only committed to what comes with Shedeur is the money. Yeah, that's it. The likes and clicks. And I don't even think they want that. I think they are holding Shedeur for the NFL because the NFL, according to Mel Kiper Jr., we don't want quarterbacks like Shedeur, and they didn't move off of it. Look at Russell Wilson. I don't think he's gonna be back. One of the teams they forced Russ to interview with after they kicked him out of Pittsburgh for getting this far, right? I think they were supposed to be headed to the playoffs, but George Pickens, who ended up in Dallas, had everything to do with that, and he got rewarded. Was Cleveland. Cleveland said they ain't need a veteran, but they went and got Flacco, and they went and got Pickett, injury-prone Pickett, and old man Flacco, when they could have had Russ, because he's black. So pay attention to the veterans they get this year. If they get somebody out the draft and he black, they must want to Trinidad Shambliss. That's it right there. Pay attention. He trying to go back to school. The NCAA is playing around and delaying his waiver request, but they already gave Diego Pavia a 7th year. Trinidad is asking for a 6th, and he can't even get his waiver response back. They said, we're going to delay it on Christmas Eve. The portal closes, what, January 16th, 17th? Seems like they're trying to force him to leave school and go in this draft and be the quarterback that probably ends up in Cleveland. Because they don't want him either, because he good. Pay attention. All right, I'm going to be back tonight. Thanks for watching What She Said Sports. It's a lot to keep your eyes on. I already got the next show planned. I'll be back at 10:35. It's 9:11, but I'm still going to be back at 10:35. I'll see y'all later, 10:35 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for watching What She Said Sports.